Let's put that up on the screen for now. What's poppin', everybody? What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the bar. It's your favorite doc tender, that girl Henny, and I'm here to give you plenty of the legal court docs that you are here to sip on. Now, I know I have been MIA, and Friday I did not come live. Well, Friday I didn't go to the courthouse, and I didn't go to that courthouse again today because it was hot as heck outside, and today is my daughter's 26th birthday, so I wanted to spend that time with her. Now, I did want to come live today and talk about a few things because even though I may not have been in that courtroom today, baby, I got the henny for you. Okay? So, it looks like today they finished up with one of their witnesses for the prosecution. They finished their half. The defense is still on their cross-examination. So tomorrow when everybody returns to court, we will be returning to the defense cross-examining the expert witness that was there. Now, this expert witness, from what I've gathered from reading the transcripts from both Inner City Press and Diddy dockets, that this expert was now corroborating text messages between Jane, Diddy, KK, all of them, baby, all of them. Do you hear me? And once again, they were corroborating the fact that Diddy was putting plans into motion, paying for hotel rooms, and all of that, etc., etc., etc. Now, I am going to go ahead and give you a breakdown of some of the court transcripts. If you guys would like for me to do that, I can do that. But what I wanted to talk about today is one of the biggest bombshells that came out of today's court case was the fact that there's no defense. The defense has given up. They are not even going to be putting on a defense on Diddy's behalf. Now, some people are celebrating and they are saying, yay, it's because they are admitting defeat. They know that the prosecution has them hook, line, and sinker. But oh, nay, nay, I think a little bit deeper than that. I go a little bit further than that. And thank you for sharing out into the group chats because I was just about to do that. But I say nay, nay. That's not what's going on, darling. Because, see, what I see going on is the fact that the defense, number one, they have asked for 4 mistrials. Brian Steele has asked for a mistrial during a sidebar. Shapiro asked for 3 mistrials. Okay? Asked for 3 mistrials. All 4 of those submissions for mistrial were denied by the judge. But during one of the court proceedings, Brian Steele said something to the effects of wanting to put it on the record for appeal. Now, once that was said, I knew it was game, set, match. They wanted an appeal. Now, what they're going to be doing tomorrow is they're going to be asking for a Rule 29. Now, a lot of people are asking, well, why the hell would they go for that? Well, let's first start off with what a Rule 29 motion is. And I'm going to read it to you guys so that we're all on the same page, okay? Because, baby, they are trying to go for a if it doesn't fit, you must acquit kind of motion here. And it's just, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV or on the internet. But a Rule 29. Let's go to federal rules. That's a civil procedure. We don't want that. Federal rules, criminalprocedure.org. Motion for judgment of acquittal. Okay? Now, this is where we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Let me take the green screen off so that you guys can see what I see. Boom. Rule 29 motion. Okay, so it says, before submission to the jury, after the government closes its evidence, or after the close of all the evidence, the court on the defendant's motion must enter a judgment of acquittal of any offense for which the evidence is insufficient to sustain a conviction. So, basically, when they were saying that, oh, this witness perjured themselves, oh, this is that, this is what that means, that they're going to now submit their case saying that this was insufficient to sustain a conviction, okay? If the court denies the motion for a judgment of acquittal at the closure of the government's evidence, the defendant may offer evidence without having to reserve the right to do so, okay? Without having reserved the right to do so. Reserving decision. The court may reserve a decision on the motion, proceed with the trial, whether the motion is made before the close of all the evidence, submit the case to the jury, and decide the motion either before the jury returns a verdict or after it returns a verdict of guilty, or is discharged without having returned a verdict. If the court reserves decision, it must decide the motion on the basis of the evidence at the time the ruling was reserved. So that means that being that they are going for this Rule 29, that if the judge says that he's going to reserve the motion, and he can actually wait until the verdict of guilty comes back from the jury, but when he makes his decision as to whether or not he's going to acquit or not, he has to use whatever evidence was presented to him at the time that the motion for acquittal was there. All right? After the verdict or discharge. Time for a motion, right? A defendant may move for a judgment of acquittal or renew such a motion within 14 days after a guilty verdict or after the court discharges the jury, whichever is later. So if they didn't do this now, they would have had 14 days after the verdict to file for this ruling, but they're choosing to put it in now. Ruling on the motion. If the jury has returned a guilty verdict, the court may set aside the verdict and enter an acquittal. If the jury has failed to return a verdict, the court may enter a judgment of acquittal. So if the jury comes back and says, we're a hung jury, the judge can then acquit it. Okay? But now here's the thing. If the judge grants an acquittal, then this case can never be brought back up again. It can never be brought back up again. Well, actually, FMF, it hasn't been 6 months when you think about it, because he was arrested last year. Wait a minute. He was arrested last year, November, right? So you're about right. Okay, I stand corrected. You're about right. It's about 7 months. But either way, he wanted a speedy trial. So being that he wanted this speedy trial, that's why he got this speedy trial. So this is another way that the defense is moving. Now, how does this help him? And how could this hinder him? Because he can get denied this acquittal. The judge has been denying his motions for mistrial and all of that. Every tactic. And at the beginning of this trial, if you remember, the judge said that he wasn't up for any of the tactics that were going to be played in his courtroom. All right. So they're filing for this Rule 29. They now have to present evidence, and the judge is going to have to make a decision as to acquit or not. He can either do it that day, or he can wait till after the jury comes back with their verdict, right? Now, if they move for an acquittal and the judge denies the acquittal, then when they go on appeal, they now have 4 denials of mistrial, and they will also have this motion for acquittal that was denied as well, which may help Diddy if he's trying to get an appeal and is awarded that appeal. The thing about appeal, though, is Diddy can ask for bail again, but the courts don't have to give it to him. And he could actually end up staying in prison, Click Click City. He could end up staying in Click Click City while they prepare for the new trial. Now, the downside to that for the prosecution is the defense has already seen their case. So this is kind of a dirty trick, because they've seen what the prosecution is going to put on. So now they know how to counteract that. As where when it comes to the defense, all of these 100, 200, whatever, however many were on their list, all of those people were never called. So this means that the prosecution will now have to subpoena Cassie, Capricorn Clark, Mia, George Kaplan, Israel Flores, Eddie Garcia, um, uh, 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 all of the assistants, Jonathan Lopez, Morales, all of the workers that came in. They're going to have to fly all these people back in and all of that. Jane, everybody, Kid Cudi, they're all going to have to come back into court all over again. And the likelihood that they're all going to come back is slim to none. Just so y'all know. Yeah, y'all get them likes up. Like, what is going on, y'all? Hit that like button. It's free. Think about it. Why would Mia want to come in and go through another 4 grueling days of testimony? Why would Cassie, who just had another baby, want to come in for another 4 days of grueling testimony? There's a possibility that people are going to be like, no, I already came. I'm trying to move on with my life. I don't want to do this. So if they get an acquittal, this is what we possibly could be looking at. Okay? So to me, these are all defense tactics that are being used and played on right now as we speak. All right. So let's get into some other things that have been going on. Hopefully this is the right one that I'm looking at. Is that it? All right. This is not good. Y'all can't really see. Dang it. Okay. So what I'm showing y'all right now, and I'm kind of sad that y'all can't see it all the way. This is the defense's. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Because I'm very upset that this is not coming out right. All right. This is not it. Okay. So this is count 1 of what the defense proposed as jury instructions, okay? So on their sheet for the jury instructions, they tried to keep it very simple, all right? As y'all can see, you got count 1, racketeering and conspiracy, and they simply asked, how do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty. Now notice that on the defenses, they have not guilty as the first answer and guilty as the second answer, okay? Then they're asking the jury, if you answered not guilty as to count 1, proceed to count 2. If you answered guilty, which racketeering acts do you unanimously find the defendant agreed would be committed? So basically what they're saying is, what racketeering acts does the jury agree was committed? Now, they also have count 2 on here, which is the sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty. The Mann Act for Cassandra Ventura. How do you find? Not guilty, guilty. Count 4, which is the sex trafficking of Jane. Again, not guilty or guilty. Let me get that up here on the screen for y'all so somebody be like, I can't see it. And then they also have the Mann Act for Jane. And then that's it. Okay? Now, that's pretty simple, cut and dry. However, comma, when we get over here to the prosecution, theirs was a bit more broken down, and I really wish that I would have taken into consideration the fact that I was going to be vertical live for you guys to be able to see this. Not only that, the fact that the comments are there, so y'all just bear with me, okay? But the racketeering, now they go into detail, all right? So they say, how do you find the defendant, Sean Combs, with respects to count 1? Guilty, not guilty. Do you see the difference? So the defense wants to put not guilty first, and the prosecution is putting guilty, not guilty, okay? And they're saying, A, if you found the defendant guilty of count 1, which is the racketeering conspiracy, then please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity that the defendant agreed would be committed involved kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting, kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, or conspiracy to commit kidnapping in violation of California law. Now, pause for a second because remember, I told y'all that they can take state charges and add them to the RICO if they go along with the pattern. I told y'all that. And a lot of people were in these comments arguing me down. They can't do that. They can't do that. Well, yes, they can. Okay? And California Penal Code subsection 207 PC of kidnapping law states that kidnapping, okay, defines kidnapping as moving another person a substantial distance without the person's consent or by means of force or fear. Now, they're asking about this because Capricorn Clark testified that she was kidnapped in California by Diddy. Remember, she said in her testimony that Diddy came to her apartment. He had a pow pow. He was knocking on her door. She opened the door and let him in. He had the pow pow out. He wanted to get to Kid Cudi's house. He already knew Kid Cudi's address because Cassie gave it to him. But he came to get Capricorn Clark. And Capricorn Clark said she didn't want to go. And Diddy told her it didn't matter. Now, I should have taken some screenshots of the transcript because I do have the transcript for Capricorn Clark, but maybe we'll go over that a little later on in the week. But, well, I could put it on the screen a little later on in the week because right now, but I'm here right now, day 10, and let's get to it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm opening up the transcript for you guys, so give me 1 second. But anyway, while that's loading, she said something to the effects of, you know, she didn't want to go. And he told her it doesn't matter whether you want to go or not. Okay. Okay, here we go. I will be back to my regularly scheduled programming very soon, you guys. But here we go. Let me clean this off really quickly so you guys can see. Please get the likes up. So this is the transcript, you guys. So you guys can see for yourselves that I am not BSing you. So she says, the question is, did Mr. Combs enter your apartment holding a pow pow? She says yes. And when did Mr. Combs tell you once he was inside of your, what did Mr. Combs tell you when he was inside of your apartment? Capricorn says, he said, why didn't you tell me? So now they ask her, how did you respond? Capricorn says, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. So now they ask her, what did he say next? Capricorn says, he said, who is Scott? I said, I don't know any Scott. Then they ask her, what did he say? What did Mr. Combs say after that? So Capricorn says, he said, Kid Cudi. I said, oh, Cassie's friend. Okay, so now we get down here and they ask her, what, if anything, did Mr. Combs state about Kid Cudi, Mr. Muscudi? Capricorn says, he said, get dressed. We're going to unalive this ninja. So they ask her, who did you understand him to be referring to? Capricorn says, Cudi. Then they ask her, and when Mr. Combs said or directed you to get dressed to go and unalive Cudi, Mr. Muscudi, where was the pow pow? She says, Capricorn says, in his hand. Then they ask her, when Mr. Combs directed you to go get dressed, how did you respond? Capricorn says, I didn't want to go. Then they ask her, how did Mr. Combs respond when you said you didn't want to go? Capricorn Clark says, he said, I don't give a f what you want to do. Go get dressed. Then they asked her, was the pow pow still visible to you at this point? Capricorn says, he had put it in his waist when I moved to get dressed. Then they asked her, the waist of his pants? Capricorn says yes. So now, you guys, this is why the kidnapping in California is coming up, because as y'all just heard, according to California law, California Penal Code, subsection 207 PC, kidnapping is defined as moving another person a substantial distance without the person's consent by means of force or fear. Now, it's up to y'all what y'all think that is, but you just heard from the transcript, and I just showed y'all the transcript, so y'all see I'm not BSing y'all. That's from the transcript itself. That's what she testified to. But you know what also backs her up? Officer Ignacio. Okay? That is the police officer that came in and testified. The Los Angeles Police Department officer? Yeah. He testified on the next day, which would be day 11, right? So we're going to go to that right now, and I'm going to read to you what that LAPD officer said during his examination. Okay, let's type in keyword for them to search for. All right. Now, this officer is testifying under oath to when he answered the call for the breaking and entering of Kid Cudi's home. All right. So now let me go ahead and let me turn this off again, and let me direct y'all to the computer screen. It still looks a little cloudy to me. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to get it clean. All right, that's a little bit better. All right, so he says this is Officer Ignacio, okay? All right, so here we go. Question. Now, as you arrive to the, okay. All right, how does that compare to when you saw it driving the opposite direction? Okay, they're talking about the Escalade. All right. So this is when, okay, what do you do when those detectives arrive? Because he was already there. Let's go up a little bit more. I'm going to read all of this to y'all. I ain't got nothing but time right now. Okay. Okay, what do you do next? Just my partner or I. Okay. We went to the front gate, and my partner jumped over the fence and let me in. Question. At this point, was anyone else at the residence with you? Officer Ignacio. Just my partner and I. Question. What did you do next after you got into the courtyard? Officer Ignacio. So we went to the front door and knocked on the door, and then that's when we noticed the door was unlocked. Question. How did you discover the door was unlocked? Officer Ignacio. We checked the door handle. Question. What did you do next? Officer Ignacio. So we went inside and searched the residence for any suspects or victims. Question. Did you find any individuals, any people in the residence at the time? Officer Ignacio. No, I did not. Question. What, if anything, do you remember seeing inside of the residence? Officer Ignacio. I remember seeing on the table like high-end, high-value watches and purses. Question. Were these items wrapped? Officer Ignacio. Some of them were and some of them were not. Question. Did anything look disturbed from your observations? Officer Ignacio. No. Question. Was the owner of the property present at the time? Officer Ignacio. Not at the time. Question. Did any other law enforcement officers arrive at the residence? Officer Ignacio. Yes, 2 detective units showed up. Question. 2 detectives, excuse me, 2 detectives you said? Officer Ignacio. Yes. So now let's skip on down here. Question. And what happened when you went through the residence again with the detectives? Officer Ignacio. We just searched the area and just to make sure that there was nobody inside, and then making sure nothing was disturbed. Okay, question. What happened next? Officer Ignacio. We exited the residence. Question, and what, if anything, did you see when you exited the residence? Officer Ignacio, I saw the same black Escalade coming down the hill. Question, how quickly was the Escalade driving as it came down the hill? Officer Ignacio, down the hill, I can't be too sure, maybe 10, 15 miles. Question, miles per hour? Officer Ignacio, per hour. Sorry. Question, how does that compare to when you first saw it driving the opposite direction when you first arrived at the residence? Officer Ignacio, it was probably about the same, but it took off immediately. Okay, so now let's scroll down. Now you said that this was the same black Escalade that you saw when you arrived at the residence. Officer Ignacio says yes. So then they ask him, how do you know it was the same? How do you know it was the same? Officer Ignacio says, I looked at the rear plate, license plate. It was the same license plate, okay? And with it driving at approximately how much time passed between the first, when you first saw it, to the second time? He said 15 to 20 minutes. Did you observe passengers in the black Escalade the second time you saw it? Officer Ignacio says, I tried to, but it was heavily tinted and I wasn't able to see anybody inside of it, okay? They asked him if he pulled the vehicle over. He says, no, he did not. They asked why. And he said, we didn't have a crime at the time. Okay, so then they say, did anyone else arrive at the residence? And he says, yes, Scott Muscuddy arrived. Okay, now I want to scroll down just a little bit because they do ask him about this Escalade. Okay, what, if anything, did you do after the second time you saw the black Escalade pass the residence? Officer Ignacio says, as soon as it passed, I went into our police vehicle and entered the license plate into our mobile digital computer. And then he's asked what information came back. And he said it provided a registered owner. All right. So then they asked him, Officer Ignacio, can you read the title of this document? And he says DMV registration information. Okay. And then Officer Ignacio, do you see the license plate number that you saw on the Escalade? I do. And then they asked him, Officer Ignacio, do you have an understanding as to what RO means? And it says registered owner. Then they ask him, can you read the name of the registered owner? Officer Ignacio says Bad Boy Productions Incorporation. Now, I read all of that because we go back to the document we had on the screen right here. And we go back to California Penal Code subsection 207 PC, where it states kidnapping is moving another person a substantial distance without a person's consent by means of force or fear. Now, I just read to y'all from the transcript Capricorn Clark's testimony about the night that Diddy allegedly showed up to her home with a pum and had her get dressed. She said she didn't want to go. He said, I don't give a about what you want. Get dressed. She gets dressed. She goes into the car. Now, what I didn't read further on into is the fact that she testified that he had this pum in his lap the whole time they drove to Kid Cudi's house. So now that could be considered by force and by fear. So the question on there is, they're asking, and I'm not saying, I'm just giving y'all what it is that the jury is going to be looking at. Is he guilty of either involved in kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, or conspiracy to commit kidnapping in violation of California law? You also have the testimony of Officer Ignacio that's there. But now here's the thing. Officer Ignacio also said that he could not see any passengers that were in the car. Federal case absolutely can, or else it would not be mentioned in here. I told everybody this a long time ago, that they can take state cases and bring them into a federal case if they align with the RICO. So now they can offer the transcripts based off of Capricorn Clark's testimony, the testimony of Officer Ignacio. If you're going off of that, then yeah, you might find him guilty. However, some might also say Officer Ignacio said he couldn't see if there was anyone in the car. Capricorn Clark did not call the police. The only thing that places anyone there from Bad Boy is the vehicle. So some might say that he's not guilty. All right. Then they're also asking about kidnapping in New York. Now, remember, in New York, Capricorn Clark said that after the jewelry came up missing, that she had to go and take a lie detector test in a building that lasted 5 days long. The portion of that would be considered kidnapping, which, by the way, Gold Digger, if you're in here, please put up the charges of what I was saying when we started hearing testimony of what could possibly be the RICO predicates that they were looking at, to compare it to what they're actually charging him with. So now, after the jewelry came up missing, Capricorn Clark said D-Rock drove her home. D-Rock dropped her off. The next morning, he told her he would be there to pick her up. The next morning, he picks her up. He takes her to an abandoned building where he takes her inside and someone locks them inside of the building, and he takes her upstairs to a gentleman who then straps her to a lie detector test and keeps her there for hours. Some might say officer didn't have any right to enter property and try to push for tampering. Well, no, because the officer was called there because there was a break-in to Kid Cudi's home. So with that, there still has to be an element of fear or force, all right? So now they're asking under New York law, right? So we go to kidnapping in New York. But the thing about New York is, New York has kidnapping in the first degree and in the second degree, right? They don't say which degree of kidnapping. However, it's basically the same thing. Now in California, it's punishable, if I remember correctly, of up to 10 years. In New York, it's punishable for up to 20 years. All right? Kidnapping in the first degree is where they would say extended restraint over 12 hours with harmful intent or death of victim. Now remember, she said that she was told that if she did not pass this lie detector test, that she was going to end up in the East River. Now, they could say, based off of her testimony, that portion would be considered kidnapping. However, the problem with that is, and I have to agree with you, Absolute 72, the first day you might say it's kidnapping. But then you went home that night. And then you continue to go back for 4 consecutive days. So, some might say that's not kidnapping. Some might say the first day is considered kidnapping, but other people might look at that like, I don't know. So when it comes down to this one, with New York State law and the kidnapping, I don't know if they're going to get that one. And I'm being honest with you guys. You know, I've always been honest with y'all. I've come on here, I've explained to y'all how the government is breaking down their case, and it looks like I was pretty much on the money with it. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the kidnapping. I told y'all kidnapping was going to be in there. Right, she went home and came back. Now, after that first day, you can't say, to me, in my eyes, you can't say that's kidnapping. It may hurt her other testimony, but I don't know. I'm just giving y'all both sides. I think I'm being pretty fair here because I'm giving y'all both sides. So when it comes down to them asking about kidnapping in New York State, I don't think Capricorn Clark's testimony is strong enough for that one. So if I was on the team, I would say not guilty if I was on the jury, because to me, it's not enough evidence, okay? You kept going back for 5 days. So at that point in time, no. The LA one, maybe. But this one, definitely a no. Then they go on to, if you found the defendant guilty of count 1, which let's get the other page up here on the screen for y'all. Is that it? No, we're looking for C right here. If you found the defendant guilty of count 1, Uda, what's poppin'? I'll be down there tomorrow, Uda. Today was my daughter's birthday. She turned 26 today. So now, if you found the defendant guilty of count one, then please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity that the defendant. Which one is this one? Okay, so this one is for arson. Now, when it comes down to the arson case, I have to say this. I don't think that that's going to fly with the predicates. And here's why I say that. There's no witnesses. The fingerprints come back to a female. I know. I'm going to try my best to be prepared. The fingerprint DNA comes back to a female. But not only that, the fingerprint cards have completely disappeared. So when it comes down to the arson, I don't think they're going to be able to make that stick. Okay? So thus far, we have a question on the California kidnapping. And the New York one, no. The arson, a no. Okay? The next one that they're asking about, which is indeed, they're asking about bribery. Okay? Now, this bribery one that they're talking about is kind of sticky because they could be talking about Cassie's mom with the $20,000. They could be talking about Israel Flores. Israel Flores testified, which if y'all want me to pull it up in the transcript, I will. But Israel Flores testified to being offered, allegedly, a stack of money to be quiet. When it comes down to the Eddie Garcia one, though, I'm not so sure that that would be considered bribery because he wanted the tape and they told him, pay us $50,000. But Diddy ended up giving them $100,000. So I don't think the security officer, Eddie, would come into the bribery. Maybe Israel Flores. But if they're using that for Cassie's mom, there's a paper trail. There's tangible evidence that there was a wire transfer that was sent to Miss Ventura. Now, even though it was sent back, it's the fact that it was sent in the first place. So there's a question. They may go for that, but then again, they may not. And again, I'm just breaking down the testimony and weighing it out with you guys, all right? So that's on the bribery. Now, witness tampering, they might get that with Eddie Garcia. Maybe even with some of the assistants. I don't know, but I don't see how that would be witness tampering. And in all honesty, I really don't know where the witness tampering is coming in at. I don't know where that's coming in at. I don't. I really don't know where that's coming in at because in all honesty, I feel like, do they have obstruction of justice in here? Well, I guess they're considering that to be witness tampering because I don't see obstruction of justice here. So I guess the witness tampering would fall underneath the security guards. I don't know. Let's see. Forced labor. Now, how are you guys? Now, I'm going to ask y'all. How are y'all feel? Thank you, Uniquely. Hey, Bookie. Let me pin that. Y'all make sure y'all hitting that Cashapp. Double tapping that screen. Hey, Tyron. All right, so listen. The forced labor one. Working 20 hours, 22 hours a day. Being isolated away from family. Remember, Brendan Paul just testified that when he was brought on, he was told, listen, get rid of your girlfriend, get in and get out. You're not going to see your family. You're not going to have a life. And their lives completely revolve around Diddy. I personally would feel like forced labor is having me clean up after the freak-off parties. You want me to go into what and do what? You want me to do what? Absolute 72. You going in and cleaning them rooms after that freak-off. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Tyron. I appreciate you. You want me to do what? 72. Is you going in there? What say you? Because I'm not going in there. Brendan Paul said he used gloves. George Kaplan said he used gloves. I ain't hear Capricorn Clark. I don't recall hearing Jonathan Lopez. I don't recall hearing Mr. James. I don't recall hearing Mia. I don't recall hearing other assistants that testified talking about they used gloves when they went into them freak off rooms to clean up. I'm talking about staying up for days. I ain't doing it, but I'm saying on behalf of having to clean up the freak parties, I think forced labor is there. Just that part of it. Because I got to clean up the freak off. You mean to tell me I got to go in here and touch these greasy baby oil and Astroglide sheets? Jonathan Lopez said he slipped on something. Okay, a whole hazmat suit. He said he slipped and fell. And he don't know what him slipped and fell in. Imagine going in there and having to clean up the baby pool with the Astroglide and baby oil in it after they done freaked off all in the pool. Now you gotta go empty out the pool. Where are you emptying this pool at? You can't flush it down the toilet. You can't put it down the drain. Where did they empty this pool at, Jesus? That's forced labor to me. I'm sorry. That's cruel and unusual punishment. Guilty, guilty, guilty. I don't want to hear about no more freakos after this. I gotta pick up sheets and towels that you done peed on. Nah, hell no. And then he got hotel bill damages for like $50,000 and stuff. Oil stains all over them people furniture. Guilty. Forced labor. All right. Okay. All jokes aside. All right. So now G is if you found the defendant guilty in count 1, they're looking for the racketeering activity that for the sex trafficking. Well, sex trafficking. Now, for that one, I say yes. I see the sex trafficking. I do. And that's actually underneath count 1 for the RICO. So I do see the sex trafficking. Over the past couple of days, they have been showing, since last week, they have been showing us the flight coordinations and emails and text messages and hotel bookings and Combs Enterprise or Global, whichever it is, Bad Boy, paying for hotel rooms, paying for flights, things of that nature. Yes, there are some things in there that Jane was paying for. Jane was coordinating, but there were also Diddy coordinations, KK coordinations. Everybody was coordinating, okay? But the thing is, do not get blindsided by the smoke and mirrors because this is what the defense is supposed to do. So they've been throwing in where Cassie was involved, where Jane was involved in the coordinating of things, but Cassie and Jane both have immunity. The trafficking, right? So the trafficking, I want to say yes, but I don't know because, all right, with Cassie, we seen force because there was clearly the physical abuse, everything that people been domestic violence, but that would be considered force in this situation. With Cassie, I could say yeah. With Jane, I don't know about Jane, and I'm not trying to be funny. Okay, they're saying the fraud is the fact that he was promising her like these times where it would be just them, but then they showed text messages where he's telling her, yeah, baby, it's gonna be just us. But then he's also at the same time while he's texting her, he's texting one of the sex workers to see if they're available to fly in. But he's telling her it's gonna be just them. So that's where they're saying that the fraud is coming in at. And I mean, to us common folks, it looks like a lie. But this is why I'm saying to y'all, instead of sitting here trying to say, Henny wants Diddy to be guilty. No, Henny wants Diddy to get help. And that's the God's honest truth. I want this man to get help because he has addiction on multiple levels. He needs help. All right? But I'm looking at how the government is putting this all together. Simple things that we do every day might land us in a freaking... Guys, you doing all of this, I flew her out, and you bringing her to your crib, and you paying her? Y'all remember when those videos were going viral of the dudes who were saying he flew her out and she wouldn't give him no punana? That could be considered trafficking. So all that flued out stuff, y'all better stop. Because if that girl decided to call the police, you might get hit with trafficking. And if it's a bunch of y'all doing it, you and your homeboys, or even ladies, if you fluing him out, y'all might end up in a damn trafficking RICO. Not Chico, Diddy. Okay, didn't Cassie say the beating was a fight that was not having freak off? No, because in court, 72, the day that they had that fight that we all saw, there was a freak off that was going on in the room. She was leaving from up out of that freak off. There was an escort that was in the room that testified to being in the room. The security guard testified to the escort being in the room. Cassie testified. So that's 3 people that are testifying to the worker being in the room. And Cassie testified that she was coming from a freak off. That's why I said when we first started talking about Cassie, I said if they were in the room freaking off, then they were zooted and booted. And that version of Diddy that we're seeing putting hands, feet, and knee bows on her is a zooted and booted Diddy. It doesn't take away from what happened, but it explains why it was like, damn. And he was trying to keep her in the room. Both she and the security guard testified to the fact that Diddy told her she couldn't leave. Not only that, it was verified in court that those were her bags. There was no money in the bags that she stole from him. So those narratives of her stealing money, that's not true. She did not have any illegal substances that she stole from him. The cell phone that he took from her after he took the bags was her cell phone. He was taking those things and dragging her, trying to drag her back to the room. So, and then we have the testimony of George Kaplan, where George Kaplan talked about them being on an airplane and him hearing glass crash, seeing Cassie on the floor of the plane with her feet up, trying to put distance between her and Diddy standing over her with a, I think he said a whiskey glass. And he just turned around and Diddy continued to put hands, feet, and knee bows on Cassie while everybody sat there and did nothing. Then you have the testimony of Carrie Morgan talking about Diddy putting hands, feet, and knee bows. Mia, Deontay Nash, all of these people have talked about the physical aspects of violence. You've heard Roger Bonds talking about the the violence that happened between Diddy and Cassie. So that's being used as force. They could also say that using her career, that's why they were testifying to a lot of those things. They could say that that was a part of the coercion. When it comes down to Jane, I don't know how to feel about Jane. Because in all honesty, I feel like Jane was damaged before she got to Diddy. Like, I feel like she was already programmed into a particular lifestyle. Does that mean that, I don't know how to feel about Jane. So I can't give you an answer on Jane. I think on that one, I would be on some, I don't know. Yeah, absolute. I might have to say that's a no for me. And the reason why is because, like I said before, she started using that as leverage to gain control over him, right? Like, oh, you out here with them issues. She told him, if you don't get your earth out them islands and get here, I ain't doing no more hotel nights. He left the island and got to her ASAP. So for me, it's just like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I kind of feel bad about that because I don't really know what this woman went through. But I'm just being honest. I don't know about Jane. Cassie, solid all the way. But Jane, I don't know. I don't know. But they asked about the ex trafficking. So I would say, yeah, I see that there. Then they ask about the transportation to engage in intimate workers. Yes, there's no hesitation with that. Yes, it was there because we got to see hard evidence of him moving Jane, moving Cassie, moving the escorts, 2 locations, same time, same day, checking in, checking out, flying, and all of that stuff. Okay, but I see that. So that would be a yeah for me. Um, the distribution of controlled substances, I think that might be a reach. Because, yeah, they could say the distribution is the fact that he purchased it and he was giving it to Cassie. He was giving it to Jane. Like, he was the one that was giving it to people. They could look at that as distribution, but I feel like that might be a reach, okay? And then it says, if you checked proven for question G, which is the trafficking, the defendant agreed to or did commit trafficking of Cassie Ventura between in or about 2009 and in or about 2018. And 2, whether as part of the racketeering conspiracy, the defendant did the defendant agreed to or did commit trafficking of Jane in or about May 2021 and in or about 2024. Right? So then they ask, did count 1 involve trafficking of Cassandra Ventura? Right? Yes or no? Did count 1 involve trafficking of Jane? I don't know. If you lie to me to get me somewhere and then you ambush me with a hotel night and I don't know. I say Cassie, yes. I don't know about the other one. The prostitution is not sold on because adult filmmaking is legal and they fly out entertainers all the time. Yeah, but they're not in the adult film industry. This was for personal. This wasn't for industry. So then they go on to count 2, right? Let me get count 2 up here for y'all. Oh, I didn't bring all of that up on the screen. My apologies. All right, so now here we are. We are at H. Let me get this one. No. Where is it? Okay. So we're on this page where count 2 is trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Guilty or not guilty. Count 3 is transportation with intent to commit intimate worker. To have intimacy with an intimate worker. And then that's guilty or not guilty. And then they ask the same 2 questions about Jane. And then at the end of this, they have to sign it. And they have to turn it in. So, I scared you, didn't I? That is what this is right now that we're looking at. Now, you got to get a license and permit for that. And I don't know about everywhere it's legal to do that. I mean, they do it in California, but I don't know if it's necessarily legal. But this is what the government is proposing be done for the jury instructions. And the one for the defense, I'm really not feeling, if I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I'm just like, that's too basic. I like this one because this one actually breaks it down. And it goes into what it is that they want them to look at. But of course, Alexandra Shapiro, she wants not guilty put over here and guilty put over there, because that's kind of like a psychological thing, because not guilty would be the first thing that they saw, which they're hoping that psychologically that would trigger them to prompt not guilty instead of guilty. You know what I say? Put a blank line there and let them write it in. How about that? But the defense and the prosecution have to come to an agreement on a final draft for this. So this is not even the final draft. This is just what they're possibly going to be looking at and submitting to the jury. But there is, as y'all heard, the kidnapping, the arson, bribery. What else was it? Bribery, forced labor. I'm surprised they didn't go for the blackmail. I thought they were gonna go put up the charges so we could see how I did with the predicates, how close to accuracy I was to the predicates. Cause I'm just sitting over here like, your girl ain't illegal. You ain't a lawyer, but I play with on the internet sometimes. No, I'm playing. I'm not a lawyer. Thank you, Grandma, Queen Grandma Rocks. I honestly, you guys, I'm sorry that I didn't go on Friday, but I needed to rest. And then on top of that, my allergies were so bad. Y'all see my eyes are finally starting to look a little bit decent now. They're looking normal. I had to stay in the house. Away from all of that damn pollen. Put ice packs on my damn eyes and stuff. You can, under the First Amendment, it's considered art. You pay for the art. Where you get that from, Absolute 72? Where did you get that from? I'm not saying this. I'm just asking. Okay, we got the kidnapping. Okay, we were right. Witness tampering. We were right with that. Well, actually, I don't know. Did they say witness tampering? Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Racketeering, sex trafficking. Yep, witness tampering. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Transportation. Okay, so distribution. We had 4 of them out. We had 4 of them. Bloop, 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 bloop. Hey, bloop, 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 bloop. Yes, I'm celebrating. Escorting is legal, but escorts are not supposed to engage in sexual activity. Exactly. You said you can't pay for sex. And that's what they were doing. And that's what made them Rasta roots, swaggy. Unfortunately, the jury is shaky, so he's going to walk. I don't know if he's going to walk at this point in time. I'm celebrating the fact that, baby, all 4 of the ones that I was talking about made it to this list. When people was telling me, shut up, girl, you don't know what you talking about. Shut up, girl, that ain't on the indictment. Shut up, girl, that ain't what they talking about. Shut up, girl, that ain't what he charged with. Bloop, 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 bloop. Y'all gonna learn one day. I got my daddy DNA in me, and my daddy, and I'm talking about my real biological father, okay? My biological dad. Don't say nothing disrespectful, because my father is not here with us anymore. He has transitioned on, and he is now an ancestor. But my dad knew the New York law like the back of his hand, okay? If you ever been locked up from the 80s all the way up until, I'd say, about the mid-2000s, you might know my father, because he's been in every correctional institution in New York State, okay? I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. And what he did in there was he worked the law library, and he worked people's cases. And when he was home, he did the same damn thing for people. He would work their cases and tell them what to tell their legal aid lawyer, and a lot of people that he helped walked with a legal aid. Bloop, bloop. And I got my daddy DNA in me. Okay, I'm sorry. That's enough. I don't brag enough. Hey, Nino. I don't toot my own horn enough, but I'm tooting my damn horn today because, yeah. So what they went for was the kidnapping, the arson. I did say the arson as well. I went for the arson, the bribery, the witness tampering, the forced labor. I said that too. The trafficking, the Rostarutions. We had all of the predicate acts. We had all of them. We had the government pegged. The only thing that they didn't go for, you didn't see my toes. Don't do that, big guy Dante. I never showed my toes online. What? We didn't even know what predicate acts they was going after. We just had to listen to the case and put it together. It's your favorite doc tender, that girl Henny. And the distribution. Anyway, okay, so in the beginning of this video, I spoke about how the defense has already asked for 4 mistrials and got denied. 1 at a sidebar, 3 on record. And now they are going for a Rule 29 to get an acquittal. So now, what do y'all think about them going for an appeal process, and they've had 4 denials of a mistrial, and if they get denied the acquittal, they'll have that denial of an acquittal. Yes, court was back in session today, but today was my daughter's birthday, so I did not go to court. And y'all almost did not get a video from me because your girl was like, nope, I gotta go to bed. I'm tired. I don't want to. Because they know didn't have a chance. Thank you. I'll tell her everybody has told her happy birthday to you. Let me see what these likes is looking. Y'all, okay, the likes is decent. I hope they get denied. Oh. Thank you, Nino. But yes. So you guys, that's everything. Tomorrow I'm going to go back to court. I have to hear about this Rule 29 stuff. I was kind of hoping that there was no court tomorrow because it's going to be like 100 degrees. I don't like heat. I don't do good in the heat. I get very evil in the heat. Evil. Yes, I do. I have cancer. I have a cancer baby. And then Apple Juice's birthday is next month on the 31st. And then PJ's birthday is August 25th. So 3 of my kids are back to back, June, July, and August. Then you have Emo, whose birthday is November 22nd. And then mine is December 3rd. Her and I are the Sages. She's a Scorpio Sag, and I'm a full-blown December Sag, baby. I thought it was always just cold and gloomy. Heck no. Swagger, I live in Florida. Here's the difference. New York heat, up north, the heat is dry. It's dry and it's thick. Down south, it's tropical. It's humid. So I can deal with that. Up here, I get heat exhaustion and all of that. So I'm hoping. I don't know how I'm going to do tomorrow. And I'm going to be so honest with y'all. I'm scared to go. Because if I get sick, I'm a little far. Like, I don't live here no more. So, if I get sick, somebody's got to come and get me. The closest person to me is in Brooklyn. And they still got to get to me. You understand? So, I may not be outside tomorrow. If they ain't going to put on a defense with witnesses, they need to have something on record. It will be denied, but still. Yeah, they're not, they had a list of witnesses that they were going to call, and they decided they're not. It went from them having this long list to them calling 3, 5, 3, then 2, then none. And we don't know why they're not calling anyone. I'm just saying, I think the reason why they may not be calling anyone is because they're trying to gain their case for appeal. Like, I feel like they're working off the appeal right now. That they're already working on it. Like, but like I said, the downside to that for the government is they've already put on their case. So the defense already knows what they're coming with. The prosecution don't know what the defense is coming with. I don't know how that plays out. You know what I'm saying? So, it's humid. I'm in NYC right now. It's humid. Las Vegas is. Ooh. You in New York right now, Ellie Rose? Las Vegas is dry, yeah. I'm glad it's going to be sunny tomorrow. We've had storms for 3 weeks straight. And it's still raining, but it's not as much yesterday and today. We need it to storm tomorrow. Just rain. Gold Digger, happy birthday to your twin grand. Oh, happy birthday to your twin grannies. Didn't show all cards. They have others that can testify on appeal. That's true, but I don't know if they can call new witnesses if they go for an appeal. It's not very humid in New York, just hot. Yeah, it's stifling. There's no moisture here. Yes, wash away the pollen, please. Like, can it rain overnight? Because I just got my eyes to start looking somewhat normal. They don't look like somebody punched me in the eye no more. And I don't want to go outside tomorrow and then be out there like this. Air quality has always sucked. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, since 9/11, we haven't had good air quality. My sister-in-law about when she came down here from Iowa, the humidity had her. I'm asthmatic. It's horrible. Yeah, the air has been airing right now. Not the air is airing. Yes, your eyes were irritated last week. I have to take something every day. So somebody told me, along with my antihistamines, because I was taking my Benadryl, I was taking Claritin. Somebody told me to get sty ointment. And I actually got it, even though I don't have a sty in my eye. I got the sty ointment and was rubbing it around my eyes, and it helped so much. And then I took cold makeup pads. I wet them and put them in the freezer, and then I've been like putting them on my eyes when my eyes have been feeling like they were inflamed. And I would just sit with them on my eyes like this, holding them. And then when they would like thaw out and start getting warm, I would wet them, put them back in the freezer, and then I would go get another set. I have 2 sets. I got 4 of them in there. So I just was like holding them on my eyes like, whew. I don't have any tea bags that I would put on my eyes. I was thinking about getting some green tea ones, but I take a Benadryl every day. I'm allergic to pollen and dust. I am too. I'm allergic to every tree known to man except for evergreens and pine trees. Yeah, sty eye. I use it a lot. It's amazing. Yeah. It's expensive. The tube is like this big, but oh my God. When I tell you my eyes were so dry. Dollar Tree got these cooling eye masks with the gel beads. Put it in the fridge, and oh my God, they help so much. Yeah, see, I need to get that. They have one on Amazon I saw for the whole face. I'm like, oh, I want that. I want that. Zyrtec is my best friend. I like Allegra, but I used to get prescription strength Allegra. But anyway, what do you guys think about the case? Do you think Diddy's gonna be found guilty? I don't think he's gonna be found guilty of everything. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. Happy birthday to your princess. I wish you many more in the years to come. Oh, thank you, Mia. I'll let her know. Well, you would do good here up north on the West Coast. All we have is pine trees. Oh, I would be good. I'd be Gucci up there. Cookie said they got them. Yeah, and I wish they willing to bring the kids up next. Um, Henny, I had a rebuttal for that, but I'll let it slide. A rebuttal for what? I'm listening. No, don't let it slide. I like having conversations with you guys. You know why? Because even when we don't agree, we still have conversation. And that's what I respect about everybody that comes in here. Whether we agree or not, we're able to still talk. Because at the end of the day, my ass ain't going to Click Click City, and neither is yours. And you know what I'm saying? Like, let me say this. I respect. I respect Sean G, you guys, okay? I respect him. And what he said is accurate. It's really funny. Because we walk into court and some days we just look at each other. But there's no animosity there. It's just that we know that we stand on two opposite ends of things. So we don't know if we're going to speak or not that day. You miss me in the chat so much? Well, here we are. I was supposed to be coming out here to get my waters because they in the freezer. I need this to be rock solid for tomorrow. Matter of fact, I need to put a couple of more in the freezer because I'm not playing tomorrow. I'm not about to be out there. This one is completely full. So I guess I'll take this one and I'll put me a couple more in the freezer. Tomorrow, I'm going to have water in my book bag. That's 3. Get one more. Ugh. And I have the little travel size waters. So they going in my book bag. I'm going to put that one in the refrigerator. So I have a cold one in the refrigerator. And I've got 3 in the freezer. And I'll probably put another one in the refrigerator. Not guilty from Alabama. Okay, that's what you... Okay, she said not guilty. Hey, Melinda. Damn, I was kind of looking forward for some trolls. Listen, I think all the trolls know not to come in here because between me, between y'all, and definitely uniquely, they probably be like, oh no, uniquely's in there. Let me not say nothing. Hey, where is Austin? Does anybody know where Austin is? I feel like Austin divorced us. But we didn't get the notification. She said leave them under the bridge. It's actually kind of peaceful in here right now. Yes, I know she does Saucy Santana, but she always made time for us. She don't love us no more. It's almost impossible to not be found guilty unless it turns into a hung jury. I mean, sorry, y'all. It was not fun when all the hitters... It's not fun when all the hitters in here. And they quiet. Don't worry, tomorrow there will probably be plenty of them in here. She said she was doing it full time. You know, and I don't see no someone I reach out. Yeah, but still, she could come in and be like, hey, she could also send some of her stuff to us so that we could, we could support her. We miss her. I'm going to have to reach out to her because she can't be doing this to us again. So, anyway. All right, you guys. It's 9 o'clock. I have to go to bed because I have to travel from Jersey. You can't blame me. Y'all funny. Oh, Swagger. I seen you. All I'm going to say is Gangland Neem. I seen you, but I ain't going to say nothing else. I crept in the bushes and was like, oh, Neem. Me and Neem cool, but I was like, oh, no. You know what I'm talking about. I will. Thank you, Monica. We still love you, though. I was like, oh, I'm gonna leave quietly. I'm gonna just back out the chat real quick. I ain't gonna say nothing. Yeah, Swagger was out in these streets up in a place where I was like, oh no. Just a chatting away. Yeah, he was cheating on us. I said, look at him go to town in the chat. No, I'm playing. Baby, they all up and through here. What you think this whole cipher is full of us, okay? He's just gonna get a slap on the wrist. The judicial system in New York is a joke. It's weak. Not the feds. The feds got a 98% conviction rate, baby. Not the feds of the Southern District of New York, okay? Nobody plays with them. So this is going to be very interesting to see. But anyway, I love y'all. Y'all have a great night. I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. I am going to be going, bringing StreamYard back in. So y'all please make sure that y'all notifications are on so that y'all can come in and check it out. When I'm back on StreamYard. I'm also going to try to make videos and stuff over on TikTok. So y'all follow me over there. I'm going to make sure I update all my socials in my bio because pretty soon we're going to branch out into other social media areas like Snapchat and other places. But I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for tapping in and tuning in. When y'all rest well. And I'll see y'all in the next pour up. Peace, everybody.